I'm here today with Mel Valkner. Mel is the U.S. Taxpayers Party candidate for the 6th District here in Michigan. And what I'm going to do, Mel, I'm going to give you a chance to kind of give us your stump speech, let us know where you're coming from, maybe even a little bit of your background, and then we'll move into some more direct questions on environmental issues and sort of policy issues and kind of see where you stand. So, Mel, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Mel Valkner, and I'm running for Congress from Michigan's 6th District on the Taxpayers Party ticket. The Taxpayers Party is Michigan's affiliate of the National Constitution Party, which is now the third largest and fastest growing political party. My mantra, my campaign theme, is returning power to the people and to the states. And that's why I'm endorsed by Gene Clem, who founded the Southwest Michigan Tea Party. By way of background, I'm actually a graduate of Plainwell, which is about a dozen miles north of Kalamazoo. And in 1968, when I graduated from Plainwell High School, I enlisted in the Army, spent a year stateside, then went to Vietnam for a year, and then went to Berlin, Germany for 9 months, where I got an early out to come here to Western. I went to Western 4 years, graduated in political science and philosophy, and about the time I was graduating, got married, and my wife hated politics, so back to school I went. Took my business core and accounting classes, did 2 years of that, got out, became a CPA, did tax preparation, and then I went into private industry, became the financial executive at 3 different healthcare companies. So what I did about a year and a half ago when the first Tea Party was held here in Kalamazoo, there were about 1,000 people downtown. Well, I thought there might be 10 people. And being a CPA, plus just the interest in all the spending that was going on at the federal level between Bush and then Obama is just going berserk. And became very concerned about that, went downtown, thought there'd be about 10 people, and there were 1,000 people marching around the courthouse. And picked up some literature there from the Constitution Party, which I never heard of before. But I ended up going on becoming one of the founding members of the Southwest Michigan Tea Party and its first treasurer. And since that time, a year and a half, I've probably spent 2,000 hours now just studying the Constitution again and trying to figure out how it applies today and what's gone wrong and where are we. And in a nutshell, if I could share, I've got 10 talking points that I have. I'm going to get through 5 of them.
Sounds great.
I'll see if I can roll through these fairly quickly. It's revolutionary. I really call it the Second American Revolution. Mm-hmm. This is what we got to get back to. The first one is pretty simple. Just vote for constitutionalists. I don't care what party they're in, Democrat, Republican, it doesn't matter. Taxpayers Party, Libertarian, as long as they want to go by the Constitution. Most politicians do not. Second thing is repeal the 16th Amendment. Now, most people do not know what the 16th Amendment is. The 16th Amendment is income tax. Founding fathers made the income tax illegal. Mm-hmm. It says no direct tax. They wanted a wealthy people. So that's the first thing. Well, people say, well, geez, if we repeal the income tax, how is the federal government going to live? And the Founding Fathers had that figured out. There are 3 ways. In today's world, you buy gas, you pay for roads. That's an excise tax. Oh, that sounds fair. Second thing is you have tariffs or duties. And these duties are supposed to protect American jobs. Let's say it costs $10 to make a pair of shoes overseas, $40 here. The feds are supposed to tax those shoes $30 when they come in to create a level playing field for our business, and thereby it protects American jobs. Third thing, if the feds still need more money, and they never did this before, but they could turn to the states based on census. So Michigan's got 3.3% of the population, and if the feds needed $3 trillion, 3.3 times $3 trillion is $99 billion. Now, we also, my third point is repeal the 17th Amendment. Until 1913, the U.S. senators were elected by the state legislatures as part of states' rights. That's what the founders intended. And you have to remember that we the people, formed the federal government, and then it was ratified, the U.S. Constitution was ratified by the states. So the federal government works for the people and it works for the states to provide the common defense and general welfare. It has very specific powers. They're listed in Article 1, Section 8. So now, if you can imagine, Levin and Stabenow, in Michigan's case, reporting back to Lansing. Right now, who do they report to? Nobody. 10 million people. You can't report to 10 million people. But if they had to report back to 108 legislatures, or whatever that exact number is, and then they say, oh, guess what? We've got a $3 trillion budget. And those 108 legislatures, who you can get their ear, because these are local people, mm-hmm. Now they're going to say there is no way when our state budget can't be balanced, and it's $40 billion, that we're going to let $100 billion leave the states. And we have storefronts empty and full of secondhand stores all across Southwest Michigan. So that's what the Founding Fathers intended, to keep the money locally. So Then the fourth thing is we've got to abolish the Federal Reserve. Now, most people don't know what the Federal Reserve is. It's a federally chartered entity owned by private banks.
Okay.
And these private banks value money. They actually cause inflation. The Federal Reserve has injected trillions of dollars in the economy. They won't tell who and how much they've done. And this money today is backed by nothing.
Right.
And so my fifth point is we need to get back to a currency that's backed by gold and silver. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be a long process. FDR took us off gold, and LBJ took us off silver. You can go on the internet and look. Our currency's never become worthless, but it's on the verge. It's now lost 95% of its value. So, and if I could just quickly summarize
No, go ahead.
What this means for jobs. They're saying now very little job creation for the next 10 years. Good luck with that. I think you better find a job and know how to make French fries.
Yeah.
Now, seriously, here's what you got to do. You've got to repeal the income tax. That puts more money in your pocket. At the same time, you protect American jobs. That creates more jobs here through tariffs. And as there are more jobs, then you get higher paying jobs because employers now are short of employees. And so they're going to pay you more to come work for them. And the goods are going to cost more because they're made in America, but you don't have an income tax to pay. And now you're getting paid more. And so we spun that circle back the other way, and eventually you start putting real silver and copper back into coins, get the value established. And I've developed a plan where I've paid off the national debt, balanced the federal budget over 20 years using my CPA skills. It's on my website, thecommonman.org. It's out there. I've done it. And so that's what we've got to do to restore our economy.
I have a quick question about the three ways that you can raise money. You said an excise tax, tariffs, and then states based on census. I'm not super familiar with the Tea Party. You've been endorsed by them. And so my question from an outside point of view, it seems like these are people who would be very unhappy if you started slapping tariffs on things. If you go to Walmart and try to buy a broom and all of a sudden it's 30% more, they're going to be like, oh, you're taxing us to death. I mean, I can see the long-term implications of it, and I can see how it's a positive thing, and it brings jobs back, and it revitalizes the economy, and in the long run, it's going to be positive. But in the short run, do you feel that a majority of people are going to have that foresight and see that it's a positive thing, and not just be, very short-sighted and very, this is hurting me right now, and you can't do this?
Joe, great question. This is an educational process. In fact, on the Common Man, my slogan is, educate, elevate, empower, because it does take an education process. But when people understand what it means long-term for their children and grandchildren, they're much more likely to buy into it. I've spoken to a number of Tea Party now, from Berrien County, Allegan County. I've been all over. I got three more yet to make here for the election. And people, once they hear the understanding, the complexity of it, and yet how I've simplified it, to repeal the 16th, repeal the 17th, abolishing the Fed, protecting your money. All of a sudden it makes sense. This is what the Founding Fathers intended. Is it going to cost you more for that broom from Walmart? It will. It certainly will. On the other hand, those brooms are going to start being made here. See, I grew up in an era when things were made in the USA.
Right.
I grew up back in the 50s. This is a true story. I could literally put on a shirt without looking at where it was made. I could tell you if it was made in America or made, the only place then we imported from was Japan. If they had loose buttons and thin shirts, it was made in Japan. If it was high quality, tight buttons, strong seams, made in the USA.
Yeah.
That's what we got to get back to.
Yeah, I could not agree more, both from an environmental and an economic point of view. I mean, you need a strong base to your economy, and the more that we outsource this stuff to other countries, that means it has to be shipped halfway around the globe. And it's a tremendous waste of resources.
And think about the lead in the paints.
Exactly.
And everything else in the toothpaste and the cat food. And we don't know what they're doing over there.
Exactly.
The Republicans are saying free trade. But free trade, here's what the Founding Fathers intended. By duties, or these tariffs coming in, they wanted other ships to rise to our level instead of us sinking down to their level.
Right.
And right now, we will sink down to the Vietnamese and to their level of wages I'm talking about. And if it's not there, it'll go to the next country. It'll go to Africa. We're all going to be sinking
It's a race
down.
To the bottom.
It's a race to the bottom.
Who can do it, the cheapest.
Yeah.
And if that means dumping toxins directly into rivers and poisoning villages and, 6-year-olds with missing limbs, so be it, as long as that shirt is $1.50.
And it doesn't happen here.
And it doesn't happen here. And we don't see it. Exactly.
Yeah, as long as we don't see it, it didn't happen.
Yeah. So that's really encouraging to hear you concerned and talking about that. It comes up a lot in environmental circles. Yeah, so it's cool. So all really interesting stuff. Let's move into some more direct environmental issues here.